Okay, so once again, it's May 25th. I got her stripped down, just welded in that back support beam. That's going to be my support for my rear rack, and just something that sticks out a little bit more past the back wheels. Going to be a mixture of the rack, the bumper, the winch mount, everything. Yes, I'm going to be mounting the winch on the back instead of the front, I'm thinking. So right now I'm going to start putting some cross beams in place. Like I said, I just put the one at the end. Just going to tack one in the center for now, just to keep everything straight while mounting my jack shafts and everything for the motor. This one here I think will keep everything nice and straight. Anyway, just kind of thought I'd show a little bit of an update as I'm going along with it. Got quite a bit more welding to do on the bottom. So you can see my A-arms. So they're not welded in the best yet, but they will be. Okay, so this is going to be how I'm going to be mounting my steel to my outer bearing. I'm just going to go pretty much 4 points. Across here, across there, across the bottom. Like pretty much like that. Okay, so there I go. I got the two front legs on. Bottom one's welded solid. Top one I still just have it tacked up here. So I'm going to do, I think, only one from here to the back corner. So I don't think I'll need two. And then I'm thinking I might go from here up to the top with one. I know that's way overkill, but yeah, that's kind of the way I like building things. Well, got my 4 bars on holding the extra bearings. Just got to do a couple more supports from the back. And of course, I am out of wire again. Now time for the fun part, to find out where I put the spare stuff I bought. Disc brake rubbing. Sweet. And there we go. Of course, it took forever to try to find it, but this is what I'm welding with. So, of course, found some of these. This is going to come in pretty handy when I go to paint it. And another one which has wire brush on it. Bought these both on sale for like a quarter price, like 75% off, so works great. Okay, so I'm back to working on the racing tractor. I got my supports for my extra bearings on. I still got to brace them up from there to there somehow, and then my rear rack and a bunch of other stuff. Right now I'm just working on my motor mount so I can start mocking up some shit. So I'm about to start cutting that out. Just did a little bit of touching up a few spots that needed welding. Added another pound of wire to the machine, you know what I mean. Anyway, this is my motor mount material here. It's pretty thin stuff. It's about the same thickness of what's on there. What does it even say here? 1/8. So, yeah. Anyway, that is what I'm going to be using just to stiffen it up a little bit. So, I never want to have a chance of a bolt, popping off or anything because of torque. So, I'm going to cut that up. That piece should be more than enough to layer it 3 times across there. And, of course, here comes the rain. It's just starting to thunder like hell outside, and it's just starting to rain. So it's not too bad right now. The mosquitoes are starting to fly in here, but I just cut my motor mounts there. Time to grind them all equal and start welding them in. Still pouring rain. Just poured like hell, and now it's actually starting to slow down a bit. But anyway, got my 3 motor mounts. I ground them all so I can weld them all together. I'm probably just going to tack them there, but on the edges it'll be welded fully. So I've got a little bit of play here. I gotta decide if I want them. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, I have to tack them right to the front wall here. The other option is to bring them in between, kind of like this. So I actually have to put the motor back in place because I made my cutouts here where I had to cut certain things. Like this here has to be cut all the way down here, and the dash had to be cut. So basically, I'm pretty sure it would be centered, but I might try to put them right up to the end here. And I only had a 3-foot piece of this steel. That's why it's, they're only a foot a piece long. I wish I could have went right to the end here because it would stop the mud from coming up. But I can always put another piece across there after. So, of course, I got to leave room for the pulleys and everything like that. But anyway, it's coming along very, very slowly. So there we go. Got my motor mount reinforced up a bit there. Going to give it a shot of paint. Put my motor in place. And start drilling some holes. Well, there goes another grinder. That one is absolutely toast. Did this cut here perfectly fine because I got a I'm not sure if you can see the old style, how it's kind of like a hump aiming up like this. I got to reverse it, so I was gonna grind this to make it weaker, but I don't think I have to. I think I could just bend one then the other. I gotta make room for the peak of the motor right there, so I already cut that chunk off. Then I started cutting across here to make room for the starter bolt, and up in smoke she went. That kind of sucks. So have to see if I can get warranty on that sucker. If not, I'll I found my other one. Well, I found another one that's the exact same as that, so exactly the same. So I'll end up using another one. Man. Anyway, I'll let you know once this is done how it looks. Okay, so just finished beating the crap out of that bar. Got my engine here where it fits. Now to pull off my cover on there, I will have to pull the motor mounts. So I am building it, so I know that. To get to the oil filter is easy enough. So the way I did it pretty much is this cylinder is lined up dead center of the machine with this cylinder. So sure, the flywheel, everything is, and that other cylinder is putting more weight to that side. But with the pulleys, stuff like that, should end up being not too bad. But the whole point is, I want to keep the machine where I got clearance for both tires. Because if I had the motor any more to this side, my tire would get pretty close to it. So if I had the clutch on here. Now you see here, of course I don't have room for a clutch, but that's what I know that. I'm going to end up cutting all this out, and I'm going to be running a jack shaft, and the clutches are actually going to be in the center here, and then a chain. So I already have that all planned. I got a plan for my steering. So now I'm going to pull the motor out. First of all, I'm going to mark my motor mounts, center the engine, make sure everything's centered, and a neighbor going by. So I'm going to center my motor, make sure it's perfectly straight in the frame, and I'm going to mark my holes and bolt it in place after. Of course, I got to remove it, do some final painting underneath, welding, and a few other things first, but just thought I'd kind of throw that in. Sweet. Okay, so I just verified this as straight as it's going to get without removing the motor and doing the final straightening. As you can see, I went around the complete motor with paint marker all the way around each end. So what I'm going to do now is remove the motor. I'm going to, once the motor is removed, I'm going to measure the paint marks to the corners, because it's kind of hard with the motor here, but I was able to get a measurement. It looks like everything's perfectly centered. Now the thing is, this isn't the most centered because this is kind of on a slant here, so I got to actually measure from the front of those paint marks to the front of the frame. So make sure it's centered that way, and I'm going to go from here to this plate. Just get myself a few more measurements, because I know this plate that I welded in wasn't the most straightest plate, so you know what I mean. Also, it's kind of hard to see how much clearance I have in here, so I might hammer that down a little tiny bit more. Same with these corners here. As of right now, nothing is touching as far as I could see, but I will hammer it down a little bit more, well, because when I weld it, the weld's going to bring it up a bit. Other than that, I got to weld myself in a piece of angle iron or something across here, bracing up that a bit more because I cut the support out of it. Then I think I'm going to actually weld some bolts from the bottom, so it's just studs where I put nuts on the top. Not too sure yet. Before I bolt the motor in, I might start cutting all this out, but I'm pretty sure I can do that after, so I'm not too worried about that. Hopefully in the next day or two I'll get a nice dirty cold start of this machine also. Okay, so there's my engine template for drilling my holes on the frame. The way I did this, of course, is just took a piece of cardboard, spray painted it, tipped the motor, put it underneath the motor, and then instantly took it back out. Now, technically, if you have a raw metal, you can actually just take this template and move it right back onto the engine plate, like back onto here. So when it was wet, I could have just put it upside down on here and I would have seen the holes. But I got to do more work on there and finish welding the corners on that bracket, and then it'll be ready to go. Anyway, I'm just leveling my motor like this. I see this side's down about a 1/4 inch than this side. I spun the 2x4 around, used a different 2x4. Looking at it, you can just see it. those motor mounts, even though I braced it up, I guess hammering on this side lowered it, which is not too big of a deal. I'll just hammer on this side here evenly, just along here, to try to drop it down a bit. Anyway, you can see I got it pretty much bang on, perfectly straight now. Who knows if this is straight here, but I was just using it as a baseline. Also measuring a few other spots. Anyway, that's where the motor is going to sit. Now, to get it to sit level, I had to put some washers under it, but I'm not going to run that, of course. So I had to use 2 washers on each side here. But I'm not going to be running it like that. I'm actually going to lower that side of the engine mount, or I'm going to flip this around and bang this so it gets higher, and then put a spacer in the bottom. Not too sure yet, but for today, this is as far as I'm going to go. Stupid me went and already tack welded the plate here, so you got to grind that tack weld. Same with the other side. So I'm thinking it's going to be easier to bang that side down than to try to raise this side up, because I need my clearance here. And you can see with the washers, yeah, I got lots of clearance, but without the washers, it's pretty close. But it's not touching. So anyway, I'm going to bang this side down the exact distance of that. To find out my height, I'm just going to put a piece of wood from corner to corner, and that'll give me my height. Even though I thought I remember doing that and it being exactly right on, but also going to weld in a piece of angle iron or something from here to here to brace up this upper link. Even though, even the way it sits right there, it's never going to move, but just to make it a little bit stronger. And other than that, my dash right there, I got to do some grinding and some cutting along the top, but I never replaced my my angle grinder yet, so I can't do that today. And all I'm doing now is just looking at how much further up I want to move the dash. I'm going to cut this lip off here, and then I'm going to re-weld it up here, just so I move the lip back, because I kind of want to keep that. So yeah, that whole dash will be then moved forward about 1.5 inches, which factory, this bolt here used to go back here. This one, actually, yeah, that one used to go right here. So you can see it is being moved forward by about 3 inches and down by about 2 inches. So yeah, at least my knee shouldn't hit.